Here's to whiskey kisses with peaty taste of sin.
As I shall be known from now on.
Blackadder. Now, you've probably never heard of Blackadder.
I'll tell you why. That's because there's no coffee shop in England big enough for two Blackadders.
Blackadder, slightly balmy, independent bottlers. They do lots of weird and wonderful things.
Well, I started drinking at an early age, but that was generally milk in those days.
I will pour a dram into a clean glass right now.
Of ginger maniacs with wild goats nesting in their huge orange beards, or to put it another way, the Scots.
I got out the second one.
Yeah, but we picked up black snake, we picked up red snake.
Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud. I am your host as ever, Adam Bradshaw, and we are here in the Strath Studio for another wonderful episode of Drinking Out Loud on the Dram Association YouTube channel. And this episode, we're back to Blackadder. We are exploring 3 new releases and 1 repeat, making up the second half of the Blackadder Snake Pit 3, a whiskey tasting that was planned to be in person back in November that, of course, had to be cancelled due to the public health order. And I just want to say we are in full support of the public health orders that are being put in place by Bonnie Henry. We understand this is for public safety, and we want to shout out our appreciation to everything that Bonnie Henry and her entire team as well are doing for the safety of the public here in BC. So, we have some wonderful, wonderful whiskies to present to you here today. In part 1 of the Blackadder Snake Pit, part 3, part 1 of Blackadder Snake Pit 3, there we go. At the end, I teased what might be coming up, and I said there's a bit of sherry and a bit of peat. There's actually a lot of sherry and quite a lot of peat as well. And yeah, we've got 4 very, very interesting whiskies. So as I mentioned last time, in the first Snake Pit that we did just over a year ago, we were really introducing the concept of Blackadder, who they were, what they did, and a little bit of an idea of the kind of styles of whiskey they do with their blended malts, their mystery single malt series, like the Drop of the Irish and the Black Snake and the Red Snake and Peat Reek, but also their single cask offering. We had the what do we have in that first one? The Lacheg. Oh man, that Lacheg was so good. And then in the second part, we then introduced some of their single cask offerings and to really showcase some of the real wonderful, incredible quality, the high-end stuff that you can get from Blackadder. And we had Fenglarklas, or a Glenfarclas. I should bleep that out. A Fenglarklas, an independently bottled Glenfarclas that was just out of this world. We had some other incredible whiskies, including an English whiskey as well, in that release. And in between, we also revealed and released a 3-pack of incredible Japanese single malt spirits as well. And yeah, it's been a really interesting year for our Blackadder releases. And we've saved some really interesting whiskies for this part 2. And I cannot wait to see the reaction of some of you guys for some of these whiskies. Actually, speaking of which, if you're watching this at the premiere on YouTube, please do join in the live chat, and a very special welcome to the birthday boy, Fury. If you're watching along with your friends on this, happy birthday. We actually did something we've not really done before in the Drinking Out Loud videos. We had a request from someone who wanted to do a special birthday event of doing a whiskey tasting. And of course, right now that's very tricky. We can't really do them in person. We can't do them in person at all. We want to do something remote. And so I actually let them purchase an entire set of the 4 whiskies that we're presenting here today in advance so that they could share them amongst several of their friends. So I think we've got a good dozen or so people from Fury's friend group joining us here on YouTube. Don't be shy, say hi. If you're watching it live, then join us in the live chat. If you're following along afterwards, and please leave a comment down below and let us know what you guys thought of these whiskies. We also have a local whiskey club as well doing a very similar thing. So yeah, there might be a lot of talk in the chat today of a lot of other people's opinions of these whiskey, because I do talk a lot, but it is only one person's opinion. So bear that in mind. If I really like a whiskey or I really don't like a whiskey, it's just me. I can't speak for everyone. So yeah, please do take part in the conversation. And the first whiskey here today, we're going straight in with the sherry, I believe. This is a really interesting whiskey. It is a raw cask. It is a single cask from Blackadder, and it's from a distillery which has had a hell of a year here in BC. Actually, from a distillery that we very rarely see. We've had at least 3 really interesting bottlings from available here in BC, and that distillery is Glen Ord. Glen Ord is a classic Highland distillery. They're known for their sort of grassy quality. They're also very lightly peated. You have to really pay attention most of the time to be able to pick up on that. But yeah, they're normally only found in Asia, and they're actually part of the Singleton range. So if you look for Singleton whiskies here in BC, for some reason we get the Singleton of Dufton, and that is normally, I believe, found in Europe. Across the United States and most of the rest of the country, I think you get the Glendullan, but the Glen Ord is only usually available in Asia. So yeah, Singleton is a brand that encompasses 3 different distilleries. However, we actually got an official bottling Glen Ord Singleton this year that was actually part of the 2019 Diageo special releases, and it actually sold out before I managed to taste it. Truth be told, we were going to put that in our malt versus malt tasting that we did in early November before the shutdowns came back, but we actually sold out before we got the chance, so it had to be substituted with something else. So I never even got to try that one, but by all reports, it was absolutely excellent. But 2 whiskies that I know are absolutely excellent is we had an SNWS Glen Ord earlier this year, which I think we still have some available. What was the name? It was something about being, I think it was down the old wax mines, maybe. Was that the Glen Ord? I can't remember which one it was, but I remember being quite impressed with it. But also we had the Drams for Fams special release from Morrison Mackay that was just a beautiful Glen Ord, which I've spoken about it before. You can see my review on an earlier video of this. I thought was, in a sense, my personal spiritual successor to one of my favourite blends from the year before, interestingly enough. Of course, Glen Ord being a single malt, not a blend, but it reminded me so much of Compass Box The Circle. It was just juicy summer fruits. It was peaches and apricots and orchard fruits galore. It tasted like juicy summer fruit in a glass. It was so different to some of the other Glen Ords I've had. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Blackadder's going to do with the Glen Ord. What's going to happen when it gets the Blackadder raw cask treatment. So raw cask, you're about to see what it means. It literally means raw from the cask. It's unadulterated whiskey. It's whiskey that's not been tampered with. It's not been chill filtered, not been coloured, not been anything. In fact, it's not even been really filtered, and you'll see what effect that has on the spirit shortly. Yeah, I'm gonna read the back of the bottle, the back of the box again, because I think I did it for the first time last tasting, and it's just so epic. It feels like an introduction to He-Man or something, a Saturday morning cartoon. Long ago, in days since hidden by the swirling mists of time, the trusted sword of Blackadder vanquished the dark forces of evil and justly ruled the lands of northern Scotia. Blackadder, the pure spirit of legend. Beautiful. Yeah, specially selected and bottled in Scotland by Blackadder International Limited, which of course is the brainchild and run by Robin Tuchek, a wonderful mastermind of whiskey. And if you caught the intro video there where we cheekily included some of the Blackadder TV show, which of course is nothing to do with this whiskey, as we made very clear in the title screen there. The gentleman that you can see in a library full of Blackadder bottlings who talks about drinking from an early age, but in those days it was mostly milk. That is actually Robin Tuchek, one of the founders and the owner-operators of Blackadder. All right, let's see what this Glen Ord has in store for us. Open up the box and check out the bottle. Here we go. So, the raw cask phenomenon. or as I like to call it, which is very appropriate for the season as well, the dirty... Oh, that's some big chunks. The dirty snow globe. And this one is... Yeah, sometimes you get really fine silt, sometimes you get big flakes. This is flaky. This is like Goldschlager. This is cool. I haven't seen one quite this large in chunk before. Very nice. So, distilled at Glen Ord on the 5th of May 2004. This is cask number 21. And this is from a refill sherry puncheon. So, yeah. It's spent its entire life in a refill sherry cask. Its entire life of 13 years. This is a 13-year-old Glen Ord. One of 640 bottles. And they're actually individually numbered. This is bottle 267. Yeah, really, really cool. It was bottled all the way back in 2017, interestingly enough. So, you know, it's been sat in the bottle for a while. Of course, doesn't age in the bottle, only ages in the cask. It will oxidate sometimes in the bottle, especially if it's been opened. This one's, you know, still foil sealed and got the cap nice and tightly on there, so it shouldn't have changed too much in the bottle. But yeah, bottled at 61.5% ABV, of course, as well. A nice, big, fat cask strength Glen Ord. Yeah, let's see what this one's all about. I'm gonna give it a bit of a mix up before I pour it again. I want to see if I can get a couple of chunks in my glass. Oh. Alright, I left the glasses all the way over there. Hang on. There we go. Stock's up now. Alright, whiskey number 1. Glen Ord. Lovely glug. What have we got here then? Toffee. Very, very toffee on the nose. Maybe those turtles, you know, the pecan and the caramel, actually. Pecan, caramel, milk chocolate. That's the kind of profile I'm getting right off the bat. Not picking up any of the peat, any of the smoke at all in this one. Like I said, it's very, 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 very lightly peated. Most of the time you just don't notice. Yeah, I'm not picking anything up from looking for it right now. Maybe it will after water, maybe it will on the palate. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for those orchard fruits that I found in the Morrison Mackay. I'm not really finding that kind of thing, but I am finding a bit of a more banana edge, maybe a little bit of a mango tropical edge. Yeah, it's a little, mango pulp. Yeah, it's a little creamy mango. I have to say, the nose does not disappoint. It does smell very pleasant. Whilst you can smell the effects of the sherry, it's not a typical sherry cask. It's not, you know, your big dried fruits sherry. It's not your Cadbury's fruit and nut. It's not your mince pie. It's a little bit more, I said, tropical, creamy. It's got a nice peppery zing on the palate. Yeah, it's like a spicy red pepper mango puree. That's really interesting. I like that. Yeah, definitely picking up a lot on the mangoes still on the palate. There is a slight bit of a char taste. Wouldn't go quite as far as to say it tastes peated, but there is a little touch of like a smoke thing going on there. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. For a distillery that I'm still very much discovering, this is still a step in the right direction. I'm enjoying this a lot. It's an interesting thing, the Glen Ord as well. It was the first Glen Ord I got. It was actually Cadenhead's. I picked it up from, it was bottled specifically for the Companions of the Quake, another whiskey club that I belong to, which has chapters across Canada. I actually picked it up at Kensington Wine Market over in Alberta when I was there last year, or the year before, I think, maybe actually. And And it didn't call itself Glenord. It just called itself Ord. And apparently, there's a bit of a this poor distillery's had a bit of a identity crisis over the last few years. It keeps changing its name. So currently, it's mostly known as Glenord, but it has been known as Ord. It's even been known as Ordy or Glenordy, and even Muir of Ord. Yeah, so it can't quite make up its mind what it wants to be called. It's been cycling through a few nicknames recently, but I think Glenord sounds pretty good. Out of the Glenordinary. That's beautiful. That's a really nice sherry influenced but not heavily sherried whiskey. I have to admit, knowing Blackadder's penchant for going full hog on some things, I was expecting it to be a little bit more sherried than this, but they're showing that even Blackadder can show restraint and finesse in a whiskey, and this is very much that restrained finesse sherried whiskey. I mentioned recently, actually in the last video I released, which was my impressions of the brand new Strath Cask Strength Glenfarclas, our very own bottling. I mentioned how I very rarely will recommend Glenfarclas to folks who are looking for a sherry bomb of a whiskey, because it isn't. It's a much more refined sherried whiskey, and this is a little less sherried than your average Glenfarclas, but it's that same kind of more intricate style. Yeah, it's very, very, very pleasant. That gets a thumbs up from me. So, this whiskey is available right now. We're actually releasing these whiskies as we go in real time here on YouTube. It's available right now at strathliquor.com. You can click the link in the live chat, or you can search Glenord or Blackadder in the little search bar at the top, or just click on all whiskies and order by new. There's many different ways to find it, but hopefully you can find it. It's available right now. Regular price $172.09, which pretty damn good for a single cask sherried Glenord. However, as well if you are a premium member of the Dram Association, you always get 10% off of all non-Scotch Malt Whisky Society whiskies on our website. Anything that you don't have to be a different member to be part of, or anything that's not already discounted, you can get 10% off. However, right now, because this is a new release and we're celebrating the Blackadder release, anyone can get a 10% off. So it's not $172.09. Right now it's $154.88. So please head to strathliquor.com and pick up one of these Glenords right now for $154.88 for the next 48 hours at least. You can get it for that price if you're a member or not. And if you're watching this later on and you want it at that price and there's still some left, well, feel free to become a premium subscriber, premium member. You can do so for only $10 a month, and that actually will give you access to some special collector's whiskies. Anytime we get things like Blantons, then our premium members are the ones that get the call first. And we also offer, as I said, 10% off of all of our whiskies all of the time for anyone who is a subscriber. And that subscription money doesn't just get lost. That subscription money is actually then gets put into the kitty and then spent on bottles, which then get poured exclusively for subscribers. Normally, that would be something you would come into the store for. You, as part of our regular Dram Association tastings, you could come in and try whiskey in the store. Right now, we're not able to do that. We're not actually able to do the replacement for that right now either. But as soon as the restrictions loosen up again, we'll have another session of what we call the studio sample sessions, where premium members will be invited in to try some superb whiskey, which has been purchased with all of the monthly fees. Last time, for example, we had a trilogy of 25-year-olds. We had a 25-year-old. We had a Blackadder Black Arts 25-year-old. We had a 25-year-old Capadonic, a closed distillery, which you can't get anymore, and also the absolutely wonderful special edition, the first edition since the rebranding of the 25-year-old Boonahaven as well in the wooden box there. And I've been waffling on far too much, and it's time to get to the whiskey I had in mind when I teased sherry. I was looking forward to it, and I thought it was going to be neat. But this next one, I have been drooling over this whiskey since I first was told way back about a year ago that it would become available to us when I was helping Jay Wheelock. dearly departed Jay Wheelock, pick out the Blackadder whiskies that we'd have for these next releases. This is one that I was looking forward to from the get-go. So let's clear some space. Let's move this Glenord out of the way. Let's see what's next. Next we have another single cask, single malt, another raw cask. And this, I don't know if you can see that, this is an Arran distilled at Lochranza Distillery. Hoo. Very, very rare these days we get an independently bottled Arran. I haven't seen one since the last one we saw was in the SNWS about 2.5 years ago. Look at that. A thing of beauty. Look at the colour. This is not just any Arran. This is not just any independently bottled Arran. This is a Blackadder raw cask 23-year-old Arran from 1996. This was distilled the year after Arran was opened. This is this is like almost as old as you can get from Arran. It was bottled in 2019, 23 years old, and it says Lochranza Distillery because being bottled in 2019, this is new information because Arran is now not a distillery but rather a brand that has two distilleries, Lochranza and the brand new Lag Distillery, also on the island of Arran, which is going to be producing peated malt. This then, I'm expecting it to be unpeated. You never know with Blackadder. They don't actually give us any tasting notes, so I assume it's unpeated. I don't think they made peated whiskey until 3 or 4 years after they opened, so I think it's a pretty safe bet. But yeah, this is from a sherry butt. This is entirely matured in a sherry butt. I can't wait to try this. This was cask number 932. It was distilled on the 8th of August 1996, bottled in November 2019, and yeah. As again, individually numbered, this was 489 out of 577. And of course, much finer cast sediment in this one. But again, the dirty snow globe is in effect. Hopefully you can pick that up there. Let's see what this Arran is all about. Lochranza. Yeah, it's a funny thing, because Lochranza Distillery, formerly known as simply as the Arran Distillery in Lochranza, it's the first distillery, first legal distillery since 1838, when the last legal distillery, called Lag, closed down. Of course, the new Lag is named in honour of the old Lag. But apparently, the Isle of Arran actually had over 30 distilleries back in the day, most of them illegal. Some of them actually made rum, funnily enough. Scottish rum. I actually found a bag of coffee for sale in a gas station in Courtney once that claimed to be matured, stored or something, in a cask that contained Scottish rum. I don't know that rum's made in Scotland anymore. I found that very bizarre. I think it was just someone in marketing that didn't know that whiskey and rum were different things. Okay. Blackadder, you have done it again, just like the old sherry cask whiskies that we had last time in Snake Pit 2. This is majestic on the nose. Like, I find it hard to really put words to it. It is just serene. It is just beautifully mellow sherried whiskey notes. Just the fruit and nuts, the classic Oloroso cask. I'm assuming Oloroso cask on this. It doesn't smell Pedro Jimenez-y. A little bit of sort of birch sap, maybe. Or maybe maple, but I think it's more like birch syrup. Yeah, it smells like a mince pie. Which actually, funnily enough, I guess I didn't really realize this. Earlier today, I was speaking with my girlfriend, my partner Kristen, and she was talking. She burst out laughing because she just found out that apparently it's a little known fact here, but in England, as I well know, but we don't leave milk and cookies out for Santa. We actually leave sherry and mince pie out for Santa, and apparently that's not common knowledge. But yeah, I encourage you all to do the same. Santa, I think he's actually lactose intolerant, and cookies are not particularly Christmassy. Mince pie and sherry, that's the way to go. Cheer Santa up. It's probably a rough year for Santa this year. There's I think an awful lot of things have to be delivered this year, and he's probably working extra hard to bring cheer to the boys and girls. So yeah, give Santa a glass of sherry and a mince pie, or maybe a glass of this. And of course, if you get to 2 a.m. and Santa's not picked up his whiskey and drunk it, then obviously he's already had enough to drink, and you should finish it yourself. Oh, it's treacly and savory. It's got like a bacon. It's like a mince pie with bacon in it. Now, I know the old adage of in Canada, bacon is a condiment. It can be added to anything. I'm not sure about adding it to a mince pie, but this is delightful. This makes me want to try it, to be honest. It's really herbal as well. I want to say thyme and rosemary. Those kind of herbs is what I'm coming across at. Maybe a touch of cinnamon as well, a little spice. Well, This is a real treat. This is, and especially I love Aaron, and I know we've got some huge Aaron fans here in town or on the mainland as well. Geordie, shout out to Geordie Mosky, massive Aaron fan. Lawrence Graham as well, big fan of Aaron, and a lot of that stems from the fact that when they opened in 1995, they really did well on the garnering public support, and they actually sold a lot of whiskey to private investors. You could buy a cask of Aaron quite easily, so a lot of people got really involved with Aaron through that. This is glorious stuff. Yeah, but we don't see that much Aaron here anymore. Partially because, truth be told, I think it's not very good value in BC for whatever reason. I don't know if it's some kind of weird clause. I mean, BC is often slightly more expensive than a lot of parts of the world, and that's putting it politely. But it's the sunshine tax, right? It's a beautiful place to live, so we have to pay a little bit more money to live here. It seems a little fair. But yeah, I mean, Aaron more than anything else for some reason is weirdly more expensive here, and it's not the store's faults. The wholesale price of Aaron is weirdly expensive here, so I don't tend to bring much in. We have a little bit now, but I don't think I'll be bringing it back in anytime soon. So it's really nice to get it in an independently bottled whiskey like this, because if we were to get an official bottling whiskey from Aaron of this kind of caliber, it would be 2, 3, maybe even 4 times the price that this one is. This is a glorious treat. I'm really, really grateful for the guys at Blackadder who decided to bottle this one. I don't know if perhaps they bought it when it was really young and kept it in their own vaults for a long time. I'm not sure on the story, the pedigree of this whiskey, but however they came across it, however they got it, very glad they did. Lovely. So this one can be yours right now. I'm launching it. The big red button, the big red invisible button. I should actually get a launch button for the table here. That'd be cool. But yeah, the button has been pressed. It is available right now at strathliquor.com. Search for it in the search bar, or as I mentioned, there's a link in the live chat if you're watching along live as well, or in the show notes afterwards. I'll go back and put a link in the show notes. This is glorious. The regular price $335.56, which for a 23-year-old Aaron is really quite good, even in BC. That's even outside of BC, that's very, very good. $335.56. Again, 10% discount for the next 48 hours for everyone. After that, only for premium members. You can get this for $302 even. Great. Yeah. You know, there was a small part of me that wanted to slightly fudge the numbers to make it $299.99, but you guys understand numbers. I'm not going to trick you. You know, it came out to $302, so you can have it for $302. You know that's a good price. And it might already be gone by now. I know how rabid the fans of Aaron can be, and I know how hard it is to get your hands on an old sherry cask whiskey of this caliber these days. So treat yourself. If this is the right time to buy yourself a Christmas present, this could be the bottle. With the perfect use of the BC stimulus checks, which are just going out. All right, let's have a little bit of this for later. Moving on to the second half, we're done with sherry, we're into peat. And as I mentioned, we do have one whiskey here, which isn't a new release, that is a revisiting of a previously released whiskey. However, this is a Blackadder whiskey that's on our shelves that hasn't been featured in a Snake Pit. And that's because when we first did Snake Pit 1, we actually had a bit of a sneak preview. As part of our Dram Association in the pre-COVID times, you could come into the store and try a whiskey. You could sample a whiskey in store for $5. And this was part of that. So a lot of people tried this in store, but not as part of an official tasting. But yeah, it's always good to revisit these things and see how they stack up in a bit more of a vertical of Blackadders and see how they compare and contrast. And that whiskey is the Puffadder. Yeah, Puffadder. A wonderful whiskey, which I was a little surprised at how little it actually sold when we first tasted it, because it scored incredibly well. For what it is, when we have the in-store tastings, because it's a little harder, you don't get anything to compare and contrast. Whiskies tend to score a little bit lower than if they were in a lineup in an in-person tasting, a full tasting. But still, even with that slight handicap, this one, which was Dram E63, actually scored 91.02 points, which is really, really good for the price. We nicknamed it Smoked Snake Oil, and yeah, people really enjoyed it. The idea behind this one is it's a blended malt, or as they actually call it on the back here, a vatted malt in a sense, which is the old school name for it. So I'm actually going to read the back of the box for you here. Puffadder is a tantalising vatting of single malt whiskies, carefully selected and blended in Scotland for Blackadder. Puffadder, it's in the name. A puff of smoke and buttery, sweet vanilla, bottled using minimal filtration so as not to lose the oils and esters we cherish. There is no bite, just a long, lingering finish to be enjoyed on its own or with mixers. Blackadder, creating unique whiskey tasting experiences. So this is a weird phenomenon, and as noted in my official whiskey notes and tasting notes when we released it, this is a really interesting whiskey because it's only 46% alcohol, but because in traditional Blackadder style there's very minimal filtration, there's no char in this one. They did a small like cheesecloth barrier filtration, but there's no mechanical filtration at all. The flavor is just so rich and full. I bought myself a bottle of this. I'm very familiar with this whiskey. And I just think this is one of the little hidden gems in the Strath. One of the whiskies that people don't pay attention to because they don't really necessarily know much about it. But it's just a really stunning example of a blended malt for a really good price. Let's see what we've got, shall we? Let's revisit this one. Feels slightly bad. I've got an open bottle of this at home. It feels weird opening another one just for the camera, but you know, I know YouTube loves a good unboxing video, so I'm not gonna scrimp. I'm gonna open a fresh one for you. Lovely. Okay. Lovely little bit of Blackadder. Oh man, yeah, such a massive flavour on the nose. I would actually say, weirdly enough, more flavourful on the nose than the two whiskies that have just been before it. Like, as much as I really enjoyed the Glenord and the Lochranza, beautiful, beautiful single cask, single malts, you know, very different style to this, but this has such a condensed, rich nose. It smells rather like smoked butter. Salted smoked butter. And pastry and oat cakes, figs. Yeah, it's so big and rich. It's actually making my nose tingle. And it's only 46%. Like, it is a testament to how much, not just the ABV, but the other things that go into how a whiskey is presented matter. Like the lack of chill filtration, the lack of colouring is really only visual, but still, it helps, I think. But yeah, it's mad. 46 can be really, really good. And as I mentioned in the official written notes when we released this previously, 46. This reminds me of some really, really old whiskies that have actually gone down to 46% naturally through the Angel share. Which reminds me an awful lot of that kind of style, but for a fraction of the price. The mix, blackcurrant cordial, Ribena. The mix of peated and unpeated malt in this give it the effect of actually it's similar to having a old peated whiskey where it's, you know, oh wow, there's an ashy finish, where peated whiskies will reduce their smokiness with age. This has reduced the smokiness through blending, but it has similar effect at the end of the day. Like, tasting this blind, I could very easily, if someone gave me a glass of this and told me it was like an old probably Kalila or something, if someone will say this is an 18, 19, 20-year-old Kalila that has had quite a lot of evaporation, yeah, I could see that. I could easily be tricked into thinking that. I mean, maybe not. I mean, it's hard to say. Hopefully, one day I'll have the pleasure of being in a blind lineup with this one in there. But yeah, I just really think this is a very impressive whiskey for the price, especially. And that price, it is available, has been available, is still available for $117.30, $117.30, but is available to everyone for 48 hours, regardless of if you're a premium member or not, for $105.57. That's the 10% off price. Outside of that 48 hours, you can get it for that if you're a premium member, but for $105, this is a stunning peated blended malt. I think they've done really good work with the Blackadder. So after going back and tasting the Chimera that Pat presented at the last part one of this tasting, I kind of wanted the Chimera to be more like the Blackadder. I'm not going to say I was disappointed with the Chimera, but I don't think it lived up to the potential that I had in my head for it, based on how much I love the Blackadder. Chimera good, Chimera great, Blackadder fantastic. That's my 2 cents. Yeah, it's $105. Glorious. So, we've had a bit of peat. I promised peat. I promised a lot of peat. And hopefully I'm going to live up to that promise with this next whiskey. I haven't tried it yet, but by the sound of it, it's peaty. It's really, really peaty. Let's see. We're revisiting a whiskey that we had something from this series all the way back in Blackadder Snake Pit Part 1 back over a year ago now. But the one we had, actually the two we had two, were not peated. And that's the Red Snake. The Red Snake is a series of Blackadder malts, single malts, presented as single malts, from a mystery distillery in the Highlands. We don't know where it's from. I believe we know for certain it's in the Highlands. I'm not quite sure where I got that information from, but I'm pretty sure I know that, and I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to say that. But they won't say anything else. The guys at Blackadder are very, very tight-lipped about where they've sourced this whiskey. However, in the last couple of years, they've actually deviated from their general Red Snake formula. So the Red Snake, the big thing between the difference between the Red Snake and the Black Snake, the Red Snake is 100% first fill ex-bourbon cask. That is what it does. It's what it does well. Big, rich vanillas, big, bold whiskies. And yeah, I mean, they're really, really quite good. For a budget, unpeated, cask strength malt, they're really, really, really good. This is going to be really interesting because theoretically this is from the same distillery. They said on record, although I think they said it before these got released, that the Red Snake is always the same distillery. And they won't say anything about what that distillery is. I have no idea. I don't think anyone really knows. There's a lot of people that will say they know online, but Blackadder has come out and said they haven't released the information to anyone. So all these people are just educated guesses. But yeah, this is a peated Red Snake. And not just a peated Red Snake, a very heavily peated Red Snake, apparently. Let's take a look. This is Red Snake 85. So by contrast, I think we had 26 and 27 before. So this is a significantly later bottling. It was bottled in October 2019. It's, again, cask strength. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey. It's a single cask, single malt Scotch whiskey. It's bottled at 59.6%. They don't give you the age, but you can kind of guess the kind of age that we're looking at from the ABV. Most things that we see at 59 are, around the early teens-ish kind of age. But this one has a bit of a twist. So it says right here in a big red circle, peated to 50 parts per million. 50 ppm. That is 5 ppm less than Ardbeg. It's 5 ppm more than Lafroig. Yeah. One thing this does do, though, is confirm one of my suspicions, because I had narrowed it down in my head as to what I thought the Red Snake was, to one of two distilleries. And this kind of confirms it, because there are two distilleries in the Highlands that do actually do heavily peated malt on occasion. And the two distilleries that I kind of guessed do that. So my guesses are still in the running, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's definitely one of these two. It probably isn't. But I had thought it was either Glenturret, which of course do their peated malt under the name Ruard Moor, which has just become really popular. It's quite prominent. It's been known as the Octomore of the land by some people. And my other guess was that it was going to be Ben Nevis, who also do heavily peated malt on occasion. Ben Nevis, of course, is mostly seen. You can get it as a single malt, especially in the European market, but I'd say the vast majority, almost all of their spirit, is shipped across to Japan for the use in Nikka, who the Nikka company is actually the owner of Ben Nevis. I would not be surprised if this was Ben Nevis. I would not be surprised if this is Glenturret. I think there's a fairly good chance that it's one of those two. Really don't know which. I love the unpeated Red Snake, and I think it is a fantastic way of showing the effect of a first fill ex-bourbon cask. Let's see if I like the peated stuff as much. So what does the label say? Well, there's a big sticker on this, actually. Best in class whiskies of the world. It got a gold medal at the Whiskies of the World. I have to admit, I've never heard of the Whiskies of the World. Don't know what it is. Is it a magazine? Is it an award? Is it a festival? No idea. Got a gold. Probably doesn't really mean much. Well, it must mean enough. It means enough that Blackadder went out of their way to make a sticker for it. Yeah. Brewed in Scotland, bottled by Blackadder. 50 ppm peated single malt Scotch whiskey. No chill filtered, no added colour. It is a raw cask. Ooh, there's a lot of sediment in that one, actually. I'll give it the old snow globe in a second. Red Snake is bottled from single cask, top class single malt Scotch whiskey matured in first fill bourbon casks. We select only our very best casks for this delightfully fruity, sweet single malt whiskey. Blackadder Red Snake is the sister to our Black Snake whiskey. As with its older brother, Red Snake only comes from top-class first-fill bourbon casks. Each Red Snake comes from one single cask and is numbered as such on the front label of this bottle. The number of bottles from each individual cask will vary, but will always be of the same top-grade single malt whiskey. Each and every cask is tested for quality, controlled in our warehouse, and is only bottled when we consider the time is right to do so. As with all Blackadder whiskies, it has not been chill filtered or otherwise heavily filtered, and the flavour has not been altered by the addition of caramel, which is the meaning for caramel colouring. So yeah, this was bottled in October 2019. It's bottle number 124 out of 267. And snow globe time. Oh, that's a big amount of char in that one. That's great. Love that. All right, let's crack her open and see how peaty she is. I'm looking for a Christmas miracle here. I want a new big Highland peat bomb because I love the Ruined Moors. I really do. Be a Ruined Moor. Go on. Let's see what we've got. Yeah. That is absolutely beautifully peated on the nose, but weirdly tame. Like, it's not... I had my nose right up in there, and it didn't burn at all. Also, what's this, 50-something? 50, 59? 59.6. 59.6. And I can do that to it. That's mad. This is a very, very well-matured whiskey. That is a sign of something that's high ABV, but not that young. Obviously, we have no idea what the age is, but I have a relatively sensitive nose. Normally, if I stick my nose that far in a glass of something that's 59% ABV, my eyes will start watering, and my nose will twitch, and I'll start sneezing. That's magic. And it smells glorious. Actually, it smells kind of like an Ardmore. Ardmore do unpeated whiskey, but they don't do 50 ppm. I don't like Ardmore's a relatively lightly peated whiskey. I don't think this could be Ardmore, but it has that sweet fudge, bonfire bacon kind of a thing. There's no iodine. It's not Isla. There's none of that Lafroigian note to it. There's no Lafroig iodine. There's no Port Charlotte sour milk. There's no Bowmore lavender. It's not Islery at all. It's very much a Highland style, at least, of malt. I could be tricked into thinking this is something like a Talisker, perhaps. It could be a Talisker. I mean, Talisker is an island, but it's technically a sub-part of the Highlands. I don't think they do an unpeated Talisker, though, so that wouldn't necessarily go with the fact that apparently they only ever use one distillery for this, but yeah, I'm clueless as to what it is, but it smells delightful. Big, rich vanillas, toffees, and smoke. Oh, holy crap. Oh, that is so much peatier on the palate than it was on the nose. Ooh, and it goes on and on and on and on. It's still there. Ooh, that is a big, big whiskey. Blackadder? I'm glad you did this. This is probably now one of the best value for money peated malts in the store, if not the best. Because I know the price of this. I know you guys don't yet. But if you're a fan of big, heavily peated single malts, cask strength, I haven't seen one at this price in a long time. Oh, yeah. And the nose has really opened up now. It's got this mineralic, almost like a... Now some white wines have that slight granity sort of smell to them. It's got that. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I like it a whole lot more than I expected I would like it. Oh. Oh, it's malty. It's malty on the back end. It's like saurine malt loaf for any of you people for any of you guys with English heritage. I've never seen it outside of England. It's like a squidgy, wet, sweet, malty bread. Sounds terrible. It's delicious though. That you slice it off and put some salted butter on it. If you use smoked butter, that. I think I'm in love. Heavily peated red snake. Who the hell would have thought it? Not I. But I'm very glad I bought it for the store. I might buy one for myself. Depends. I don't know. I'll let you guys have first dibs. All right. Speaking of which, let's put it on sale. It is for sale right now on strathliquor.com. Search for Red Snake in the search bar there, or Blackadder. It'll come up for you. But it'll only come up for you if it's still in stock, actually, I should mention. We have our website set that it doesn't display, by default, it doesn't display things that are out of stock. So if you can't find it, probably means it's gone already. But yeah, this is a stunning whiskey, a stunning value. Normally $128.61. $128.61. And right now, for the next 48 hours, everyone can get it for 10% off. Outside of that, premium members can still get it for 10% off. It is $115.75. Nice. All right, so we've got one more episode of Drinking Out Loud for 2020. We have part 2 of the SNWS outturn coming up in just a few days, so stay tuned for that. We're also going to be having a little bit of a fun side series, a little bit of a 12 grams till 2021 little tasting as well. I'm doing kind of like an advent calendar, but for the new year. For a group of friends, and I figured I may as well include the internet on it as well. So look forward to some of my impressions on some whiskies that I've been hoarding for a long time and I'm opening and sharing for a special occasion, because I think this year coming to an end counts as a very special occasion, to be honest. But yeah, if you are in need of celebration, a celebration whiskey, why not pick yourself up a Blackadder, a Glenord, a Lochranza, a Puffadder, or maybe a Red Snake, heavily peated, the Red Snake 85. All of them are available right now, unless they're already sold out, at strathliquor.com. Thanks for joining in. I will see you next time. It's been a pleasure. Slan Shavar.
Here's to whiskey kisses with the peachy taste of scent.